After 2 decades leading innovation at Intel, working on everything from deep fakes to healthcare AI, Cyndi Peach walked away from all that and built a national real estate portfolio from the ground up. She didn't just invest, she operated, she wrote commercial leases, managed her own buildings, and learned real estate deal by deal. Now, she's bringing her two worlds together, using AI to automate her underwriting, screen deals, and scale smarter. This episode is about turning spreadsheets into freedom and what happens when a strategist stops building for billion-dollar companies and starts building for herself. Cyndi, welcome to the podcast.
Leo, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Definitely. So Cyndi, tell us about how you got here, your journey, your background before real estate, during real estate.
Well, I actually started the journey in real estate in the early 2000s. We'd just gone through, I was working in the tech industry. We'd just gone through the dot-com bust. I was worried about layoffs, especially because my husband and I worked for the same company and in the same organization. So all of our eggs were in one basket. The stock market volatility, I was worried about, could I keep the lifestyle that I'm living today in the future when I retired? Those things worried me, and I needed to do something different because being an engineer and being in that background, I knew a single point of failure wasn't an option when it came to my income. And I had just my W-2. So we started out building spec houses. And then from there, we knew that time and money and carrying costs were huge. And it would take us a long time to achieve our goals. So we ended up shifting and moving into real estate where we were actually doing residential rentals. And then we moved into commercial. Commercial gave us to build out an income and actually additional income streams for us while we worked at Intel. So we did this while we were working at Intel in parallel. So we're burning the candle at both ends. But that's how we got started in it. And then we found commercial, and then from there, it just we bought one, then we bought another, and then we bought two, and it just progressed from there.
Wow. So you sort of did both at the same time. So you were at your job until you could not be at your job anymore, more or less.
Well, I got to leave on my own terms, which that is huge freedom. I'd been there working, we'd been doing the real estate, and managing those properties and building that additional income stream. And then there was an opportunity. Layoffs were happening again. And I wasn't in fear of that layoff, which was empowering. I actually volunteered to leave and took a voluntary separation package when I left my corporate job. And then from then on, I've been doing I did that 2 years ago. And from then on, we started growing and building and doing more and focused on real estate full time.
You hit on a very important point. I think it's just the point of financial independence, not necessarily financial freedom. Financial freedom is like everyone's like prosperous, but independence is having that feeling of, yeah, so what? I don't care. I'll be fine if you fire me or not.
Yeah, it was funny because I'd actually just got a promotion. And my manager was waiting until the beginning of the year because they were doing major layoffs at the company. And he said, I don't want to, promote you at the same time we're doing layoffs. It sends that, bad message to others. And so I said, that's fine. And it's like, when I found out our organization actually could get the package, I took it. So it was great.
Nice.
And he's like, I just promoted you. And I go, I know, but I know I can see the writing on the wall, and I did. And I think I chose the right time to leave, and I left on my own terms, which was liberating. I wasn't a victim or a casualty. I shouldn't say victim, but a casualty in a reorganization of a company.
That's great. That's great. So what was the spark that got you into real estate in the first place? Was it was there a moment from work, or is it just out of inspiration watching people on social media?
It was it was that I needed to real estate it's kind of, I guess, like I like playing Monopoly when I was a kid. So, and real estate is like that. So
Yeah.
I like dealing with people. I like working with people and interacting with people. I love the hunt of the finding the deal, which we're doing right now today on our new investment opportunity. But I love that hunt and going to find that. My husband calls me Detective Cyndi, because I'm always looking, going in and figuring out and doing the underwriting and, if this is a good deal or not. So I love that type of stuff. And that's, probably why I ended up in the tech industry. It's the same type of deal, learning with technology and the adoption of technology, trying to debug something and get it to work correctly. So same kind of mindset, I guess.
Yeah. It's almost like there's a lot of skills that you could translate from your time in tech to here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, aside from your sort of detective skills, what else would you say is good to translate?
The analysis stuff, the analytical thinking, I think is big. Uh, Doing that, and then I, going through and figuring out it's that strategy, right? How you're going to build out that business plan and how you're going to make with retail strip centers. That's what we do. It's looking at the strategy and building out a plan. What tenants do I want to get in there? How do I do a good tenant mix? Just building that strategy around your business model, and how to increase that, net operating income on that property.
Hmm. And when you were first sort of getting into real estate, did you have like good systems or like a good business model, or did you even know like what to measure, or was it like learning on the go?
It was on the job training. Some of it, I read books. And when we got into it, unfortunately, we didn't have YouTube like we do today, and all these podcasters out there. So that's, I mean, the information, educational stuff that we have today is great, but it was a lot of talking to people. The network that we've built in the commercial real estate, with, I should say, real estate brokers, it's been great because some of them actually helped us along the way and gave us guidance as mentors. So that's how we kind of learn on the job training. I've learned, I call them, actually someone referred to them as seminars, but I call them life lessons. Those mistakes, that you make along the way are, you learn from them, right? If you learn from them, then that way that's, defines my buy box now when I go out and look at retail strip centers, from the
Hmm.
different things I've learned on purchasing and mistakes I've made along the way.
Hmm.
So it actually refines your process.
Yeah. So reading books, learning on your own, having good people by your side, asking questions from people that you interact with, like brokers, and having
Yep.
them to mentor you and give you guidance. Okay. Now, retail strip centers, that's a very niche asset class.
Yeah.
What what drew you to it, and why, or how did you discover it?
We were looking at, we had originally, the first commercial building we bought was a federal government building. That's what their GSA, the General Service
Hmm.
Administration. And we bought that and we thought, if the government can't pay their rent, we got bigger problems, right? Because that was like, it was our first leap in doing that. It was right by where we lived. It was actually Forest Hill, California. We could actually go out and see it. So that was our first one. And then my husband was like, we always look for real estate deals. It's kind of, my parents used to drive around and look at houses. We looked through the commercial real estate listings, and we found this listing that popped up on Crexy, I think it was, or LoopNet. I think it was LoopNet back then. And it was this retail strip center that was in Rockland, California, and it had a nice cap on it. And we was like, and my husband goes, we should buy this. And I'm like, okay. And we were in the process of selling one of our residential rentals, and we were tired of doing dealing with tenants, toilets, and all of those problems you do. And I go, but we don't know anything about retail strip centers. And he goes, well, we're going to learn. And so we jumped in, and it was local. We could see it, we could drive by it. It was a value add play where there was vacancies. And that was our first leap into it. And We actually were able to fill the vacancies and get it 100% occupied within, I think, 2.5 years. And then we sold it, and then we went and bought another one, and it just kept on going. And along the way, we've learned important things like good property managers, good tenant mix, those things along the ways. But that's how we got started in it. We did the numbers on it, and we liked it because it was businesses in there versus tenants. That's their livelihood. And we figured they would, they work really hard. It's a business, right? And that's how they make their livelihood. So they're going to put it all in it. They're not just going to walk away at a, moment's notice.
Interesting. So to go into a completely unknown asset class and your husband saying, let's do it, what sort of went into that decision making? I trust it wasn't just on a whim, right? It wasn't just like, oh, sure, let's do it. There's like planning involved.
Yeah, there was planning involved. We did the underwriting on it. We'd been reading books, so we learned, what we needed to do. I mean, if you look at it, if a cap rate's a 9 and you're borrowing money at, let's say 6%, right? You got a 3-point spread already. And these things are cash flowing from day one. It isn't like you have to, a lot of the multifamily deals, you'll see that they have to stabilize them, and it takes time, right? And making the improvements on the apartments themselves, and then moving tenants out and doing all of that transaction. These are actually cash flowing from day one. So that was one thing. We were able to pay the mortgage. There was, and we had extra left over. We were actually earning income. And then what we had to do is simply just fill the vacancy and renew a lease with some annual rent bumps. And, we've just now increased the net operating income. And so it's continuing to make money. So there wasn't a lot of, there's risk in everything, right? But the risk was minimized in the sense that it was cash flowing. You could pay the mortgage on it and the bills on it from day one.
And I mean, how often is turnovers in strip centers, and are there surprise turnovers that you're like, whoa, wow, I don't know if I could make the debt payment now?
Yeah. So you have to look at that. How far can you go in the vacancy, right? How far, if you lost one tenant and now, you're in the negative, that's not a good thing, right? So you have to keep that in that formula when you're looking at this. But tenants tend to stay long times. I mean, just think about, you're in New York, right? So maybe there's, I don't know if you're in the suburbs of the New York area or proper in the
city.
Oh, you're in the city. A little bit different there. But if you're in the suburbs, if you go into anybody that's in the suburbs, you'll drive by. It's the same, restaurant, nail salon, beauty salon. Those things are around for a long period of time. The leases are long on these. They're 5 to 10 years. A lot of times we're looking at one right now. Most of the tenants have been there for 10 years or more. So they stay for a long term. They're established businesses that service the community. So there isn't a lot of turnover. Now, turnover can be great because, they have their leases written for, market rents, 10 years ago, right? Even on the renewals. So if they do leave, you can pull someone in and get higher market rent. But usually you don't have a lot of turnover. I have yet, I'm going to knock on wood here, but I have yet to have, we almost had one restaurant. It was a restaurant. And she wasn't, I would say that she was struggling to make ends meet on it. And she ended up selling the business. So the business stayed. It just became a new owner. That's the closest that we've had so far of, having someone move out. I did have a tenant, a mattress firm, relocate into another strip center and move out, but they didn't close the door. So we do have that happen at times because they'll want a different location, but we just brought another tenant in, which takes a little time, but we were able to do that.
Gotcha. So how do you find new tenants? Is it through brokers, or is it through like Facebook Marketplace or something like that?
Well, funny you bring up Facebook Marketplace. So we use traditional leasing brokers. A lot of times the property management companies, most of them have their own in-house leasing. But we're beta testing this right now. And we used actually ads, targeted ads through YouTube and Facebook to reach out to businesses in the area, in that area, to get more eyes on the vacancy, basically. And it actually, we've done some testing of this. We're still working through it, but we actually were successful, and we had several inquiries to the vacancy we had in our Wisconsin property via these paid ads. We're still refining what we want to do. These are business owners. So we had one gentleman who had franchises that he was looking for a new location, and he was looking in the town of Appleton, where our property's at. And so but we were reaching them through Facebook and YouTube ads. So yeah.
What would the ad say? It's like, hey, come check out this building.
So the ads, I helped write the ads on those. And so they were basically your typical, ad. If you're located in the Appleton area, and remember, they're targeted. So people that are in that region and that have a business, that's, who were seeing this. We had, I think we were getting like 4,000 or 5,000, no more than that, excuse me. We had 100,000 impressions on some of these ads. And it would just say, hey, we have a vacancy. And then just like a leasing broker would do, advertising through Crexy or CoStar or whatever, that same type of deal. Here's the information, contact, reach out to us. And then what they would do, I actually had an agency working with me. They would screen them and make sure that they were real. And then from there, then when we'd have contact information, and then they would set up calls and vet them for me, making sure that they were real and real people and talking to them, and then forward the leads to me. And so we had some good leads on that. Unfortunately, none of them signed with us. And that was by choice by us, because some of them were not the desired business we wanted in the mix in our strip center. And so it wasn't a good fit. Sometimes it's a conflicting business with another business. Like we didn't want to put another beauty salon if we have a salon in there already. So those were kind of the things. So, but it did work. So we'll play around with that. And I don't think it's to replace leasing brokers, in case the leasing brokers ever watching this, but we're not here to replace them. But we think it's a way of using technology and getting the message out to a broader audience versus, the way they currently do it through their connections and relationships they build through businesses that are local there.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's very interesting. I mean, especially with the technology, AI, where things are going, I think there's definitely, it democratizes a lot of what's traditionally held by large institutions and firms. It gives them power to us. So like the power to reach people, right? It's power to be on TV. Now you can show an ad on there. You don't have to go to a news channel or anything like that. So it's certainly interesting.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted on how it plays out. We're gonna continue to, like I said, we're beta testing it and tuning it, just for the target audience, and refining that as we move forward. So we'll continue to do that. And it was actually not a huge cost to go through this. So we'll see how we can start integrating that moving forward. See how that'll work out.
Interesting. Okay. And what about other tech that you use sort of in running these strip centers, looking for deals, underwriting them?
So we get so many, we work with a lot of commercial real estate brokers, and we get so many off-market deals that we get submitted through, our inbox, and like everybody's inbox, it's overflowing. So I decided to create my own AI agent to go through our inbox, look for those deals, do a short test on our buy box. If they meet the minimum criteria, then it would pull that, and we'd have that in a spreadsheet that we could then we go dig deeper in, right? And do more research and talk to the brokers and all of that. So I use ChatGPT to write it all in Python, it took me a Saturday afternoon, and it actually works. I think when we talked before that, I said I was still working on it, and I was having a problem with the API, and I actually got that to work. So I fixed it. It didn't take me long, and so we are using that just to kind of just cut through the whole. I mean, we get hundreds of emails every day with deals that people are submitting to us, so it helps us just go through and sift through that and find the ones that we really want to focus our time and effort on, and it's more productive.
Yeah, yeah. So the agent sort of goes through the inbox. It sort of extracts certain key information like where it's located, square footage, pricing, that kind of stuff, and sort of like indexes that against your buy box. And then if it makes sense, then it saves the offering memorandum in like a Google Drive or something.
Yeah, so it actually downloads it to a folder on my MacBook, and then it goes. Then what I have it do is when it downloads the OM, it'll parse through the PDF to get additional information. So we're looking for median income, vehicles per day. That's important. I'm trying to think of the other stuff. The vacancy. I want something that's not 100% occupied. I'm looking for maybe 85 to 90% occupied. And it goes through that, and it'll parse through and read through the whole OM, and then it'll say yes, this is. Then it'll put it in my thumbs up list, and then it'll put actually the information of the property into a spreadsheet, and then that folder's kept in and then it'll move that folder. I actually keep the folder there, and the OM there in the folder, and then I actually have the address, and I can go look it up and then dig into it, call the broker, get more information on it.
Interesting. I like that. And the agent, is it just like on Python, or is it through like, I don't know, other software like make.com or N8N or something like that?
No, it's just on Python, and I use OpenAI which I have to pay for the usage on that. But I use OpenAI on that, so it was pretty simplistic. And by the way, I've never written any Python script, so this is the first time for me. So and it was all through ChatGPT.
That's great. You were vibe coding.
I know. Yeah.
I was just playing around with Lovable. I don't know if you've heard of that platform.
Oh, I have not heard of that one. Yeah. What does that do?
It's basically vibe coding on steroids. So
really,
like you don't even need to know how to write Python and all that stuff, and like you don't even need to know how to read it. There's this chatbot that you chat. You're like, hey, look, I want to build this kind of tool, and then it will build it for you, and then you refine it. You're like, okay, I want to make the background green. Oh, I want the ability to do this. Then it will just do it, and it will even troubleshoot the code for you, which is very interesting.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. I like you just speak to it. And I tried N8N, and they actually, I downloaded a template to actually use it to sort through your email. And I found it a bit, I don't know what it was. It's very visual. It seems simplistic, but to debug it was challenging. And if you don't know what you're looking for, it does help you through that. So I found and ChatGPT actually, it's part of their, the coding part, it actually would debug the code for me also. So if I had an error, I just throw it in there and say, here's my error. What do I do to fix it? And it would give me an answer. So it worked out pretty well, but I'll have to try the other one because it's called what?
Lovable. Yeah.
Lovable.
I'll send you a link. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to try that. Yeah. Because I'd like to use AI agents to do more stuff for us. And eventually I'd like to start having AI do some of the analysis and train it to do the analysis on the underwriting. As we feel more comfortable with trusting it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's always a balance between privacy and convenience. But I mean, I only just started using this tool. I'll even drop the link in the video in case anyone out there wanted to try it. They'll give you a free month of membership. So they were the fastest company to go from 1 million average recurring revenue to 100 million average recurring revenue. They did that in 8 months. which is nuts. That just goes
Wow.
to show like the power of, I guess, democratizing a lot of the access, because traditionally you would need a whole dev team, right? You need people, like you need engineers,
Oh
you need
yeah.
PMs and stuff.
And it
Yeah,
would take you months to get it all,
yeah,
figured out and designed. I mean, back in my tech days, I mean, trying to get a software product developed, it would, just the whole process, and then, having everybody write different parts of the code, and, it would be challenging. Yeah. So I
mhm,
found this was like, anybody can do this now. I
yeah.
feel bad for all the people who are graduating with a software programming degree right now, because it's gonna be a different world, a different
Who
world.
knows? Yeah, I mean, I thought that too, but also maybe, I mean, they would better be able to navigate and utilize the tools. It's like, if you trained in the culinary arts, and then, there's like a cooking tool that makes cooking easier, then you can use that to cook even more. I don't know. I mean, I was seeing like, yeah, videos of like graphic designers. They put out these beautiful things, and it's just like, I can never do that, but AI
Yeah,
made it so that he could do more. Great.
yeah. I mean, I guess if you have the vision and for the graphic stuff, and I think you're right about. I mean, we saw this already with just technology in the early days. I remember, when I started in the tech industry, here I'm dating myself. When I started in the tech industry, people didn't have personal computers at home like we do today. And people started buying those, and everybody was like, oh, our privacy is going to be taken away. And it has. But there's other things, good things that have come out of it also. It was like when everybody had TVs, and we called it the boob tube, because you'd sit in front of it and become an idiot. And that's partly true too sometimes, but still to this day. But it wasn't like everybody just sits in front of their television, right? And I think that for the next generation, technology is, AI will open up doors to new things that we weren't able to do, or there was challenges to do, that people will think of new ideas and bring in new innovation, by using AI. So everybody says AI is going to take over, humans are going to go away, and that may happen. It may be like that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. We may have, that
Yeah,
may happen. Yeah. But
yeah,
it's not going to happen in my lifetime. I don't think it's going to be happening in my daughter's lifetime. So
yeah,
it's going to be an evolution. I think we're going to see maybe freeing up when we see AI and robots doing things that humans were doing. It'll free up times for humans to think of other things to create and innovate with. So I mean, I think
yeah.
there's a trade off.
I definitely agree. I mean, both are possibilities of the future. Who knows the future, right? But I think what's more interesting is what you just said about giving people more leverage, because now if you take AI to the extremes, right? Like everything can be done for you as long as you know what question to ask. So I don't know if you've seen the movie or read the book, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes, yeah, the
Yeah,
book.
yeah,
Yes,
42, right? So
yeah,
what's
yeah,
the right question to ask? So I think
yes,
the way to think about AI is like, you have to think about what question to ask, because if you ask better questions, you get better answers. And if you're able to have original thought, then you can build organizations, you can have these AI agents help you, or if not, you can have it spit out a guide to have people help you to build that. Then
yeah,
your original thought becomes more and more valuable.
yeah. And then that's true. I tell people that, who are in fear of AI, is that these jobs are going to go away and we won't have. And it's like, well, it's kind of like a balloon. You kind of squeeze it and the air's gone from there, but it goes somewhere else, right? If
Right.
that space is taken up, and we'll just figure out other things to do, that we can go out and innovate, and
Yeah.
so I think I'm excited. I guess when I worked in the tech industry, I'm still a geek. I am excited about the things with AI. Yeah, the privacy, and I worked with Intel, the research lab, and I actually worked with one of the uh, scientists there that worked on deep fake, and being able. I mean, we're going to use technology to make sure we don't have that. So I think it makes you more responsible, right? I mentioned the boob tube, right? I think people, when they're consuming information, are going to have to take more responsibility at validating that information and not take it as gospel.
Mhm.
And so when you think, when you see something on Facebook and I'll just make Obama saying something, on a video. I think there was one of those that was out there. Then you need to do some more additional research, and people are going to have to think more. And I think that's what's going to, with technology, you just can't take it as gospel. You're going to actually have to put some thought in it and validate stuff.
Mm.
So
It
not just
gets it gets easier and easier to just consume. I realize the
yes,
friction to consumption has gone down a lot, especially with the rise of TikTok, right? I
yep.
mean, TikTok just did so well that every single other competitor in this space is changing their business plan to do what TikTok is doing, because now it's like interest based algorithm. You get shown what you have liked in the past, because these advertisers want to keep you on. So it's interesting.
Yeah, there's some of that I don't like because I feel like then you're having someone filter information to you based
Right.
upon what you want, right? Instead of then, but if you continue to go look for other new things, I found that actually just happened to me the other day. I was doing a search on something and it came up something and I went, oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that. And a different viewpoint, right? A different perspective, and I was like, oh, and so now it's not just feeding me what I want to see. It actually fed me something that I didn't know that was there. It's like, you don't know, and you don't know how
Mm,
to ask a question. You don't know what you don't know. That saying.
right.
It's the same thing with if you're fed just what you want to see all the time, then that's that silo and those blinders that you'll wear. But if you question and ask questions outside of that, then you won't be in that silo. Make sense?
Mm, yeah. Do you have mental frameworks that you use to sort of maintain your sort of independent thought almost, or just stay on the right
Well,
side of technology?
I question everything. So I guess that comes back to that engineering side of me, and I don't take everything at gospel. I question it, and not in a defiant way, but more in really is that if I read something, I go, oh, that's very interesting, and and I think it's just a mindset of I don't want to just take it as gospel, and when we were developing technology, you just couldn't take things at face value. Uh, because there was no value there. You're developing it, right? So you had to, question it and ask questions and think about it. So I think it's the analytical mind type of mindset that I have. That when I look at stuff, I don't take it as gospel or
Yeah,
think that's the right answer. I'll actually, I was one of those irritating kids raising their hand. Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, I'll say one more thing before bringing this back to the real estate.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But so what you said reminded me of what my college statistics professor said. So she said, if I taught you anything in this course, is that you should be skeptical,
Yeah.
because numbers are deceiving. People think that numbers are numbers, they're facts, they can't be
Yep.
manipulated. But you could present them in any which way to paint a different image, which
Yep.
college me had my mind blown at that. Because let's say you're like, okay, 9 out of 10 dentists agree that this is a good toothpaste, right? But
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
what's your sample size?
Yeah.
Doctors are
Exactly.
not. Maybe is
It-
it like the 10 doctors sponsored by this toothpaste brand, or is it 100,000 doctors? Like, so understanding statistics and how it's done. I think you see that in media a lot nowadays. Like they'll say something, but then you're like, okay, well, what's the sample size? How did they get that? And how did they ask the question? Because I think um, there's this one interesting thing I did in college that was like, it was an experiment for psychology students, that
yeah.
they were like, does saying a mantra help improve your performance? And like, I was given $20 to like just do air squats and like I'll do air squats without saying anything versus air squats after saying a mantra. They're like, this doesn't change anything, you
Yeah.
know? But then it's 100% going in a college paper, and then people will cite that study as if it's a real thing. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just here for my $20. I'm just like doing some air squats, whatever. I don't care. I'm
Yeah,
gonna say
exactly.
whatever.
It is, and I worked in marketing, so with Intel, and data you can make numbers say whatever you want, and it's very easy to do, and that's why people should question, right? It's not. It's what was the one where old commercials that they had, using Tide, and they different things. They said this can clean this, and well, not eating Tide Pods, but it was one where they were using like I don't know, some kind of it's all like the snake oil guys that used to sell the cough syrup, which basically had cocaine in it, and it's like this is a cure all, those things, because if people want to believe that, they'll believe it. And it goes back to the point when I was making, if you're consuming something, we have to question and ask the question, is that really there? Where'd they get that sample size? Even on polls, but how many people do they talk to? You talk to 10 people, and now 90% of the people like red as a color of a car, but it was only 10 people that you talked to, right? That's the kind of thing that you see. Yeah.
And I think that skeptical nature also helps you in what you do, because when you're looking, especially let's say a brochure from a broker, they'll say like, hey, great potential in this space. Is it great potential in 10 years? Is it great potential in 1 year? Like what is that, right? What's driving the potential, and like questioning it. So
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I'll see the one I mentioned earlier, below market rents for what area, but what what are you comparing it to? And it's funny. Yeah. We have low replacement costs. Yeah. And so those are just marketing terms as I look at them. And that's why, with real estate, getting back to real estate, we have to dig into stuff to really find out the true answer. You just can't accept the face value. The OM is a marketing tool. So those numbers can be manipulated however they want. So you have to validate that information there.
Yeah. You have to just be skeptical and sort of validate everything. And I mean, even now it's harder and harder to validate, because sometimes like ChatGPT, it can hallucinate, right? It will say something and like cite random stuff with complete confidence, and you're like, oh man, that made me look bad.
I actually, my daughter works in social media, and they use ChatGPT to do a lot of their, writing social media posts and whip it through that. And she said that there was someone saying that ChatGPT now thinks that they're a valid data point as an expert. So what ChatGPT thinks is, instead of looking at it, it's like, well, I think that's right. That's what we're going to say, So yeah, you can't trust the ChatGPT on everything. And just like, and I might be a control freak on this one, but even creating AI agents to go through and read through my email and do that, I still have to go and validate that it's doing it correctly. Did it miss an email? Am I missing an investment opportunity or a deal that I could be, working on because that AI agent didn't see that email? So I don't know if you can rely on it totally. I mean, that's that whole validation process you have to go through, as we do with technology. So.
Yeah, I think right now the AI sort of progress is at that point that it can do some things, but like probably at 80% efficiency, it can't be 100%. So it's still good to learn how to use it and sort of put it in, but you cannot trust it.
Yeah.
But it's important for you to do it, because otherwise, when it does get to that good stage, then you'll already have this built up. You'll know the skills, you're confident in it, you can actually go. Instead of some people that are like, I'll wait for it to get better before I actually invest time to learn it.
Yeah, and it's actually learning. I mean, it's a large language learning model, and you're training it by using it, right? And so if it does wrong and you don't tell it does wrong, then it won't, it's just like a child, right? It won't correct itself. So you have to say, I was using it to do, to format some emails that I was sending out, and I use it a lot for that. And, and I'm a lousy typer, so I always have like little typos in mine. So it does that correction too. But I had the date in there, and I said, I want, do this. And I had the date, and then it changed it and put the wrong, it had Thursday, but it had the wrong date of the day of the month. And it's like, well, that's, it was supposed to be a Thursday. It was Thursday, July, and it should have been 22nd. And it was actually said it was the 25th. Just, I don't remember the actual date it was, but, and I was like, this is completely wrong. And so if I had just taken that at face value and copy pasted, threw it out there, people would have thought I was, lost my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, she doesn't know what day of the week that is, or it would have made me look bad. Right. So you do have to check it.
For sure. Now going back to sort of your personal journey in real estate, how you're able to grow it. I mean, it sounds like technology and AI definitely helps you a lot in not needing as much sort of manpower, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you scale. I mean, what else has been sort of helpful? Like how were you able to sort of build up your portfolio over time?
It's the partners that we've, so it's always going to take people. Going from the technology topic, technology is great, but real estate's going to require people. It's still going to require us to have a conversation. You're still going to have to build relationships. And so we've built out great partnerships with real estate brokers, leasing brokers, lawyers, CPAs. We're connected with other partners that are doing the same thing, in the same industry as us, other operators, because it's a great way you can learn from them. You make connections. Even if you don't work with somebody, you may meet somebody that you would work with or invest with or partner with through that interaction that you had with that one person. So that's been powerful. That's really helped us scale, that we've been able to leverage that. Is what we called a virtual team when I worked at the corporate America. You really weren't managing the whole thing, but these were, people that helped you in a project. So our virtual team is who really helps us with getting the job done.
Gotcha. What's your team consist of? I mean, do you have like people working like offshore, like or here, like property managers, or?
So no offshore, only focused in the U.S. for real estate transactions to the state. Not that can be an option for later on down the line. I do have a dream to own a hotel, so somewhere
Nice.
fancy. Yeah. So that, but but everybody's here. And it is property managers that, we work with. We just make good connections. Right now we got this great, commercial real estate broker. He's tied into family offices. He's great. He's been working with us. They actually will help us do the financial analysis on the deal too. So they'll pull in their people. So we leverage all of that. We're doing the underwriting, but they're also helping us with the underwriting. He has connection to bankers that we can get, or mortgage brokers, for funding the deals. So, I mean, it works out really. Those strong partnerships and relationships have really got us to where we are today, and will help us get us farther down the line.
Nice. And so when you're sort of operating your portfolio, I mean, what are some of the biggest pain points that you face, and like how did you overcome them?
Property managers. Finding good property managers. And it's funny, I had this great manager once tell me when I was working in corporate America, to understand, how to work with someone, or you really understand how they get paid. You have to what motivates them is, usually how they get paid, whatever that motivation piece of it, financial recognition, whatever that is important to them. That's how you get to work with them and get them to work together for the same goal, right? To achieve. And I don't understand property managers, because they do get paid based upon a percentage of the revenue that you generate from this property, right? on the rents. And it always boggles my mind how, it's like there's vacancies and they'll go, like, oh yeah, well, we're looking. And it's like, well, no, you're not getting it done. And by the way, you get more money if we fill this, right? So, it's sometimes you have to, for me, I think it's maybe at their company level and really understanding how the company works. And so we actually just fired one of our property managers on one of our properties for the lack of we weren't the level of expectation that we had, they just weren't meeting, and we weren't aligned and working to the same, achieving the same goals, right? So they weren't tied in, they didn't have a pulse on what was going on with the tenants, and just so we just had to let them go. And I think we did find a replacement. We got a referral to another one. They are great, and it's like now we're aligned. And oh, by the way, that vacancy, we have 2 offers, for a tenant to move in. I mean, so it's really interesting. So when the interview process for a property manager, I've really changed how I do that now. From just learning that it's important to understand, just their whole culture, I guess is what I'm going to say, in the property management company. How do they work? How do they function? How do they reward their employees, and how that culture that they cultivate there in that office? It makes a big difference. Because at the previous one, I would say that, that culture was not positive and rewarding, and this one is. So, and you get better results.
So what are maybe 1 or 2 questions that help you determine between a good and a great property manager when you're talking to them?
I give them scenarios of, if we had this happen, how would you handle it? And everybody goes, well, that's easy. It's like an interview question. They probably know they can't answer. And it really isn't, because it's not, I'll ask them and then I'll go, well, what if this would happen? Because a lot of times, they'll tell you what you want to hear. But if you spend a little bit more time with them and ask those questions differently, that gives you, you'll kind of see that the truth come out, really how they work, and I use chat GPT actually to using technology again. But with the prompt, I wanted it to be, the way I wrote my prompt is to bring up questions, that would help, understand the culture and how the business model and how they work together. We interviewed these guys and they answered all the questions right. It wasn't just because they were referred to us. We actually interviewed them, and we interviewed the in-house leasing broker. And the other thing is, I always have them define how they support your property. And I want to know, and I want them to tell me, not me to tell them what I want. Let them do the talking is the best way to actually, let them talk. Don't you do the talking. And a lot of times you'll get some nuggets of information in there. I had someone wise tell me, don't talk a lot in a job interview because you usually shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
So
I like that. I like that. Yeah. I heard from someone that when they interview higher level people, or, people like just that are doing more, what they do is they give them real scenarios in their business. Then that way they have the most context, and at the worst case, they get one additional perspective on how a sort of professional would handle the situation. Best case, they sort of truly see what the person is, and maybe they'd be a good fit.
Yeah, and that's having them do that, do the talking. You get a better understanding how they think. So
interesting. So all in all, just tying this together, I mean, as far as like your journey in real estate so far, I mean, it sounds like, yeah, I mean, your learnings from the tech world of being sort of skeptical and always digging a little deeper, and also not being afraid to use tech, I think that was helpful as well. and then also having good people on your team. Now, aside from those sort of three main points, would you say there's a secret sauce or